So yes, we're going with Giddy, he, him pronouns from Utah. Hello, Giddy.
Hi, yeah, you picked me. Hi.
Yeah, hi. How you doing today?
Good so far.
Cool.
Um,
Well, it seems like you have a really interesting question, so lay it on us today.
yeah, I guess I have a question about gender care and basically in ye olden days, foot bindings used to be a mark of like feminine beauty, and I guess also for the same thing, synthol use. Are you aware of synthol, by the way? I'm not sure.
I have not heard of it.
Me neither.
Oh, it's basically a site enhancement oil that bodybuilders use, that some men use to inflate the appearance of their muscles.
Mm.
But
Okay.
extreme synthol use can make it look like your biceps have like a gallon of oil underneath them, because they essentially do. Anyway,
Gross.
Interesting.
so yeah, it's in that sense, it's bolstering the appearance of muscles and more musculature, more masculine. Essentially, it's gender care, but in my head, my question would be that such cases of gender care, they seem extreme to me, but by that same token, other things like breast augmentations, reassignment surgeries, whatever that's called, that doesn't seem extreme to me. That seems like a good thing, but like foot bindings and like uh, synthol abuse, just it crosses a line that I'm not that I'm not comfortable with. So my question would be like, I don't know why it crosses that line when it's just all gender care, but like,
Mhm.
so my question would be like, when is it gender care, and when is it something to be careful of?
I mean, so I think something worth noting, some of my first thoughts off the bat are, if something has a demonstrated like harmful effect, I think I would support us like regulating that or banning it or whatever is like the best evidence-based approach to make sure people are being okay, even if it could be ostensibly gender care. Like if it's hurting people, like
Mhm.
that's not acceptable in my eyes. Um, but I also would say kind of it opposite to that, that I generally kind of feel like bodily autonomy is really important to me, and if people want to like do weird shit to their body that I don't necessarily understand, I don't really care. Like if that's what makes you happy, like cool, do it. Like live your life. Like whatever gives you meaning in this life, I think you should roll with it. Where the line becomes gender care is probably a little bit subjective. I think sometimes people will like compare things that people do for body dysmorphia to like gender care because they are kind of like feminizing treatments or something. But it's also important to note that like when trans people get gender affirming care, usually that resolves like the dysphoria or euphoria that they're searching for. It gives them like a resolution to where like they don't need to seek more. Whereas when people have like body dysmorphia or something and they get a nose job, generally they'll not be happy with the nose job, or they'll start wanting other areas treated. The body dysmorphia will like move. It's like a internally sourced thing. Or rather, maybe it's better to think of it as an externally sourced thing because you're thinking about people's evaluations of your body. And that's always, people are always going to have those judgments, right? And that's why we see when people with body dysmorphia get like surgical treatments or medical treatments to alter their body, generally it doesn't resolve the issue. Generally, that doesn't make them happier. It's a persistent problem. But even then, I don't know if they have the money and they want to do it. I don't know. It's a weird like ethical line where we halt people's bodily autonomy because potentially it could be more good than harm for them. But I guess I'm derailing from where the line is for gender care. But I don't know. I think this thing is it's a little bit messy. I mean, like we have some things we are really confident about, like the impacts of like bottom surgery and top surgery and like facial feminization surgery. But then there's other things that we don't have as much evidence for. Like I know there's surgeries where you can get like a piece of your clavicle removed to make like your shoulder shorter, and from my understanding, that's like not a really well established procedure and can be like really dangerous and can stop you from having mobility in your arms. And yeah, so I don't know exactly where the line is. Lux, what do you think?
Yeah. So, I mean, gender affirming care is pretty broad as a category. Things like foot binding are kind of like a culturally imposed thing. It's not necessarily something people choose for themselves. It's like something that moms start to do to their girls when they're like 6 years old, and it can cause them like issues walking around. So like, yeah, looking at the difference between what are people seeking for themselves versus what are people having done to them. Like, I think that's one area where it's like, I don't care if it's gender affirming, or like if it makes you have appropriate gendered features for your society, like you don't get to do that to people. In the same way that I am against circumcision of infants, like I don't think that you should, and I'm also against piercing the ears of infants. Like I don't think that you should make those decisions for children. Mm-hmm. So, and like, yeah, with like synth oil, like people in the chat are saying that like you inject it into your body and then it gives you a superficial appearance of like enlarged muscles. And like, okay, if we have a regulatory body that is going to be able to look at that and be like, this is basically poison, you shouldn't do it, then it shouldn't be commercially available, right? Like, I think that there is a place for a regulatory body to say this product shouldn't be available for people to use generally. But if the product is not harmful or doesn't have negative health effects, which I'm not making a claim whether it does or not, yeah, like, I guess the sort of question is like, do people have the right to harm themselves? And like, I think that like, I'm kind of on board with Arden here. You know, people have the right to drink alcohol 7 days a week, you know, like broadly speaking, people have the right to do things that aren't going to affect other people. You know, like part of the reason why you're required to wear your seatbelt is so that your body doesn't get ejected from the vehicle and then cause property damage to someone else or have to be cleaned up by someone else. So yeah, we can say, yes, this thing is gender affirming and look at then whether it's harmful or not in a way that is like within the way that we already regulate stuff, you know, like, and then like, yeah, making that consideration of whether it's only affecting you, whether it's something you're imposing on someone else. Yeah, and I can understand like the feeling of discomfort around it, because I do think that there are a lot of extreme procedures kind of taking the conversation in a slightly different direction. Like there are those people who get their tongue split, and there are people who have their teeth filed or removed, and people who get tattoos on their eyeballs, even though that is very problematic for people's eyesight sometimes. And we might feel like a reflexive kind of discomfort with that. But again, it's like, is this bad for society? And even if you're making the argument that it's bad for society, like you would have to pretty thoroughly justify that it is affecting other people too much. Like, yeah, you should be able to get weird shit done to your own body, even if it could kill you. We do elective surgeries all the time. You could technically die during a breast augmentation, and cis women get those all the time. But anytime you go under general anesthesia, you're taking that risk, right? So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think of that wall of text we just gave you, Giddy?
I am processing it. So it'll take a couple hours. But so
That's
first
cool.
impression, like, that was great. Where were you a week ago when I was freaking out about this?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's
tough.
everything. Yeah, good job.
Cool.
Yeah, we super appreciate your call. If you don't have any additional questions, I think that we can go ahead and wrap it. If you want to call back, I will be here next week. We can continue the conversation. I don't think we're going to have a hard stop next week. We'll see. But we have to get out of here in like 25 minutes today. So we really appreciate you. Always great to have an opportunity to talk about body modification.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In that case, thank you. Have fun.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Giddy.
thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, body modification
Time for some
is
super
so
chats.
interesting. I love the,
God,
the
yeah.
split tongue thing. I think is really fucking cool. I don't know if is it dangerous or bad for your like.
It's not dangerous, but it's apparently quite painful to recover. Yeah,
Wow.
it's yeah,
Oh, 'cause
like a
you probably
week of
can't move
you
your
can't talk.
tongue. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
so eating, yeah, you got to do like a liquid diet. You can't talk. It's really cool, but yes, it is like one of the most difficult things to recover from as far as body modification, as far as I've heard people who've had it done.
Yeah, it's kind of, it makes me think of a little bit of uh, gender crits have this like flawed understanding of transhumanism, rather than being like the, you know, us technology elevating us to the position of godhood or whatever. They think it's like basically when we allow people to do like body modification to the extreme. But like honestly, I'm looking forward to that future, like where what, you want a cybernetically enhanced fucking body that lets you jump 20 feet in the air? Like, cool. If we can do that, like, why not?
Let's go.
Like, if I can have like a fucking robotic tail implanted, like what's the word? Prehensile tail. I can like drink my cup while I've got my hands clacking on the keys over here. Like, I'm so in. Like, I want the cybernetically enhanced future. Yeah, it is interesting where it becomes specifically for gender, and there are definitely some arguments for like how that applies to cis people, but I don't know if it's a clean line. I think it's going to be a little bit subjective.
Yeah, a little bit subjective, a little bit blurry, but fascinating endlessly.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jimmy Snow, executive producer of The Line, and the rumors are true. Forrest Valkai is, in fact, a hostage in my basement. If you would like to contribute to his freedom one day, you can do so by supporting us over on Patreon or becoming a channel member. There are specific tiers for specific shows or the channel at large. You can also send us super thanks. Those are great. You can like, comment, and subscribe. Also, fudge the algorithm. Go to one of these things. The algorithm doesn't matter. It thinks it knows you better than we do. Better than you do? I know you better, Hank. There's a bunch of people named Hank. I just freaked way out. Okay, go to one of these.